For such a great turnout today. Thanks for coming out to talk about affiliates. My name is Anita Collins, and I'm the Change Management Lead for the Connect Carolina project. So how many of you are attending your first user group meeting? Yeah. A couple people, great. So thanks for coming out. Today our topic is affiliates for the most part. So we have a few other topics. So just a quick touch base, because most of you have heard this before, but just real quick, what the user group meetings are deep dives into topics, into hot topics. So we listen to what people are interested in, what we get a lot of questions on, and we try to put a meeting together to answer those questions. So ask all the questions that you have. So this is a great opportunity to ask questions about affiliates today, but also anything that you're wondering. So we have a lot of people in the room who can help answer your questions. They are open to anyone who uses Connect Carolina. So we're talking about affiliates today. So even if someone just has a finance role and doesn't do a lot of work with affiliates but needs to understand how they work, they're welcome. So you guys are welcome to any finance topics, and anyone is welcome to any of the topics. Please encourage your coworkers to come. So we'd love to have a great turnout like we do today. Also want to mention real quick, like I'm wearing a mic, but it's actually, we have some people dialed in on, we also project these meetings over the web. So we have some attendees that are attending virtually through a webinar. So we're not broadcasting on the mic, but we need to do this for the people who are listening over on the webinar. What this also means is that if there's something useful in the content and you want to refer back to it later, these are recorded. They are on the CC Info website. So who has been out to the CC Info website? Okay. Yay! Okay, awesome, excellent. So that is a great resource, and one of the things that you'll find out there is recordings of all the user group meetings that we have done so far. So check that out when you get a chance. So again, like I mentioned, today our deep dive topic is affiliates. Okay, so we have a packed agenda, so I just want to give you a quick run through of what we're covering today. So again, Dave Turner is here today. He's going to talk about, give you an overview of affiliates and make sure you're clear on the process. He's going to demo the affiliate e-platform, hopefully spur some questions, things that you guys may have been wondering about. Melinda Bakken is here from the PIT office today, and she is going to demo the affiliate request system and give you a chance to ask questions about that and call out some key things to remember. Mike Matthews is here from the Provost office, and he's going to talk a little bit about contingent workers. So it seemed like a good related topic to talk about when we're talking about affiliates. And then also, Chris Kyron is here. He's in the back of the room right now, and he's going to give just a quick demo of the new employee performance evaluation tool in InfoPort. So give you a chance to ask questions about that as well. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to turn it over to Dave.
Okay. Can everybody hear me okay? No, that's covered. Oh, okay. Fantastic. Good to know. All right, good morning, everybody. I am Dave Turner, an HR project analyst on the project, and I'm happy to be here today to be talking to you about affiliates. I will be sharing the spotlight with my friend and colleague, Melinda Bakken, up here in front. She will be going through the affiliate request system in a few minutes. You will also see her pop up and down as I forget to say something important or she has some added detail that she wants to give. She is a resident expert on all things affiliate. But I will start with an overview here. Excuse me here. So what is an affiliate? An affiliate is a person that needs resources here at the university to work with, and I'm going to emphasize to work with, UNC Chapel Hill. That with is important because you must be sponsored by a department and a person here at the university. You can't show up at the PIT office and say, I really want to research here. I'm an affiliate. It doesn't work that way. You have to come through one of the departments. That's part of the application to fill out. There are 26 different kinds of affiliates. A few of the big ones are listed there as examples: retirees, contractors, visiting scholars. The list does go on. I believe the list is on a handout that we have today, so you can see all of them there and delve into them. Who is not an affiliate is really just as important a question. Anyone paid by university payroll. we call those employees, so they are not affiliates. Anyone teaching for UNC Chapel Hill 4 credit courses, they are called faculty. They are special employees here at the university. Anyone enrolled in classes, they are, good, you're with me today? And then UNC healthcare employees, I couldn't think of what they are, so we'll just say they're UNC healthcare employees. Going through that list, there's always exceptions here, and I'm absolutely certain that Melinda could pop up and give you an exception at least for half, maybe over that of each bullet up there. If you ever have a question, you think to yourself, well, but this person's special because, and we have a lot of special people, just pick up the phone and call the PID office. They're very helpful. They're there to help you go through it and figure out what's what. So I highly encourage you to reach out to them when you have any questions about the affiliates and what's what. So who has access to set up an affiliate? Well, specifically, basic HR originators perform the actions for affiliates. By nature of our security, student originators would also have that, and complex originators would have that. So as I was reviewing this slide, trying to summarize easily, any originator at the university can set up an affiliate. I wish I'd thought of that earlier before we published the slide. But it really is any originator. We made this broad access because a lot of people need the access to do it. So how do you set up an affiliate if you're one of these originators? You use one of two processes. You're either going to use an affiliate EPAR form or the affiliate request system. And you're going to start with the EPAR form, but don't start typing the minute you think I'm going to get an affiliate, because you really have to start with one thought, and that is, before I get my affiliate, do they need a background check? It's very important. And this is decided based on the type of affiliate you're going to be signing up. Independent contractors, interns, volunteers, and visiting scholars are all required to have background checks. The other 24 types are not. So if you need a background check, start there. Get that done. If you have any questions, the background check unit can help you out there. And once that's done, you're going to move to the affiliate EPAR form to start the process. Now, what if it's one of the other 24 times? You don't need a background check. What do? You start at the affiliate EPAR form. You always start there, because this is the way that you find out, very simply, if the person that you're trying to set up an affiliation for is already in the HR side of the system. Regardless of background check or not, if you put in their information and they're there, you can just continue with that EPAR form and submit it to be approved and to get that affiliation. If you don't find them as part of your search in the affiliate EPAR form, you move immediately over to the affiliate request system and you complete the process there. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to go ahead and start and search for somebody that I believe is in the system, and we'll walk you through the EPAR form, just do a quick demo, then I hand it off to Melinda and she can show you what to do in the other case where they're not in there. Before I start, are there any questions from the overview that I went through? No? Okay. I guess here I'm going to switch over to our system. And we start at the HR Work Center and the EPAR homepage. This is where all of our HR forms are. We're going to start a new EPAR. And the affiliates, I just always sweep right to the bottom. They're the last one there, add or update an affiliate. And this brings you to a search screen. What we ask is that you put in as much information as you know. And the reason you do this is you're trying to drill down to the right person, because if you've ever looked up John Smith, there are a few. And so you're trying to get a date of birth or some part of the social security number, something that will help you drive down to the right person. Right now, Melinda has told me that I need to set up a person named Ramses Ram. I have no idea how to spell Ramses or how it's spelled in this case. So I'm going to put in that first name begins with Ram and the last name begins with Ram. And a quick search shows me two people. It's obvious, I think, that the first one is right. And so I'm going to go ahead and at this point I'm going to minimize this left side of the screen using that arrow. Be sure you start by looking at the top of the screen. What happens a lot of times is the screen resets the minute you click, or you just scroll down too far in accident and you select the wrong person. If you take a quick second to make sure that the name, the info ID is correct, that looks right, you'll save yourself from having it swap back to you and you have to start over again. So it's just a quick check to make sure you have the right person. If you do, at that person you're going to enter the sponsor department. We talked about needing a sponsor. I'm going to enter 26101. You can also use the magnifying glass if you'd like to do a search. I just know what the department number is. And at that point, you put in an affiliate type. And for today's purposes, we'll do campus ministries for HR. We're going to have a spiritual advisor, I think, come in today. So the start date we're going to use is 06/01/2015. Be here for about 6 months. They will be on campus. They will need a one card to get access. We're going to make them part-time. You want to fill out, well, you have to fill out all the required information. There's also additional spaces down here to put information that helps the PID office figure out what to do with the request. A lot of times, activities in environmental setting, on campus, admin, advisor. If there is any risky setting, if they work with any hazmat materials, you could put that in the next section. If they work with sensitive populations like children or facilities, again, hazmat areas, you can put that information in. The affiliate title, Spiritual Guru for HR. I will be their sponsor. So Vicki knows who to fire when the spiritual advisor shows up. And then in affiliate remarks, you want to make sure that you say what the person's going to be doing here. It's just a remark section, but part of the instructions we've been providing is just say why you need this affiliation. A lot of times it may be a cut and paste from that top section I did, and that's perfectly fine if that's going to explain it. Here today, I'm just going to say affiliate demo, don't approve, just in case we hit submit. We're not going to do that today because it will fire all the way through with the login access we have. When you're done with that, you scroll to the bottom here, you see a file attachment section. We've put this here in a preliminary way. There are currently no documents that you can upload, so you can skip it for now, but if in the future we have any, this would be the section we would use. I did want to note the form message here, the affiliate background check. This is not something you only check if it's one of the 4 groups we talked about needing a background check. What this is here for is to remind you, did I do one? Did I check to see if I need a background check? If I did need a background check, did I get it done? That's your reminder. You can't move on without checking it. At that point, if you have any comments, you can add them in there, and you would click Submit. Now again, if I click Submit now with the login we have, it's going to fire all the way through. But what will happen when you all click Submit is that it will be delivered directly to the PID office for review and approval. There's no level 1 or level 2. This is by far our easiest routing as far as the forms go, and it will just send it over to the PID office, so one stop before it's done. From that point, if you wanted to review it, I would just note that you have the EPAR number. You can always go to view an EPAR for something that you created and pull it back up that way using the eForm ID or the last name, any of that information you know. That is a quick walkthrough of the affiliate eForm. Are there any questions? Yes, ma'am.
The ePAR is executed. Is the PID active straight away?
The question was, once the ePAR is executed, is the PID active straight away? And I believe that the PID needs to be active prior. I'm sorry? Oh, it's 5 minutes? Melinda says 5 minutes, so I say 5 minutes is how long that takes to be active. Yes, ma'am.
I understand that they don't activate it until the day of the appointment.
And I believe that's is it the approval or the activation?
Yeah, well, that's one of the things.
Okay.
The approval and the activate, it sends it to the IBM. IBM picks up every 5 minutes. It doesn't do any predating stuff. So it won't actually, if we approve it, it'll go through, but then it won't activate on that day. And so you're still stuck without an activated PID. So we've been waiting until the specific day that you put in there as the start date, and then we start it. If you want them to get stuff earlier, put it a couple days earlier.
Yeah. And so the comment was that the approval and the activation of the PID doesn't happen until the date that's shown as the effective date. And that is correct. We do wait to do that approval for the fact that that really initiates all of the access that we talked about in the systems. And so if we do it in advance, that would give them access in advance. So that's the reason for the wait. Any other questions? All right. And I think with that, yes, I'm sorry. When it's been approved, you can look for you can do the view, and see, we don't send out an email on approval or anything of that nature, so you can just view back to make sure that it's been completed. How long does it usually take, just from your perspective?
We check it every couple of hours. So you want to check back anyway just to see if we've recycled it. Okay. But also a quick and dirty way to look and see if your person's been approved and is in the system, go look and find them in the directory. If they're in the directory, they're ready to go.
And so for anyone listening, the advice was to make sure that your approval's been done. You can always check the directory because, as we heard, after 5 minutes, it's going to go to the directory and be available there. So that's a quick way to check.
So if they're approved on the same day that they're active, does the one card office know immediately?
Pardon me? It's an overnight load?
There's got to be a delay that they could go to the one card.
Yeah.
Well, they can go immediately, and the one card will just have to look them up and put them and type them in.
So they'll still give it to them?
They'll still give it to them.
Yes, ma'am.
So if you cannot find the person in the e-bar and you have to go to the affiliate system to search for creating, or to have it get created for them.
You go to the affiliate request system, and that will initiate the request for the PID and the affiliation.
Okay. And the affiliation.
Yes.
Okay.
Because at that point, the PID office, you go to the affiliate request system, and the PID office processes that entire thing, which you'll see in 1 minute. Any other questions? Well, then you'll see it right now. I'll hand over the stage to Melinda, and she can show you the affiliate request system.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I don't have any pockets here.
Don't walk off.
All right. Can everybody hear me? All right. Hi, I'm Melinda Backin. Just in case you haven't met me, I'm sure I've talked to you, emailed you, IM'd you, whatever. Because there are a ton of people that are, hi, Melinda, and I'm like, hi. All right, so we are here to talk. So we have now done the person who we know exists on the HR side. Now we're going to look at somebody we couldn't find in here. So we want to go to affiliate request system. You can go there, or you can go directly to the system. Completely up to you. All right, so single sign-on. You should be logged in already if you're in PeopleSoft. First thing you should always go to is search. Sorry, not search request, search. And the reason why you want to go here is because you want to see if that person exists. If they don't have one of 3, what did we call them, affiliations, if they don't have an employee type, let's see, now I'm going, an affiliate type, a background check type, or an employee type, then they're not going to show up in that ePAR side. And so you want to go here and search, because if you go through the form and you fill out all the information that you have to fill out, we're going to say, this person already exists. Here's the PID. You need to go do it in ePAR. We added the affiliation you needed. All right, so I'm going to go in here, and I'm looking at the same person, so I'm going to type Ram Ram. And I found him, and he has an HR sub pop, so maybe I fat fingered something, and so I need to go back. Here's his PID. I need to go back into the ePAR system and look at him. Make sure, you're always going to make sure, double check that you have the right person, because you don't want to give the wrong affiliation to someone, because they could be a previous student. Now you're giving access to more than what you should be. So I'm going to say this one Ram is the 3rd, and this one is the 1st. He's born in 1924. And so I need to go and create a request. So in here, the status starts at pending, and that's where you want to leave it. Anytime you want it to go back to the PID office, you put it on pending. If it gets recycled, that's back on to you. So in here, we're putting Ramses, Ram, and we're going to say that Ramses is a girl this time. Oh, sorry, wrong one. This is the 2nd, though, didn't I say? And I have no idea when they were born, so I'm going to say 25. And will they be on campus? Yes. Does he need, or does she need a one card? I don't know why Ram would need a one card, but we're going to give it to her. I know that's interesting. My departments didn't show up. So here are the departments. And you would choose your own. It should be limited down to your own if it's dependent on what access they've given you in PeopleSoft. So you would choose your department. Oh, that's because I don't have a department in PeopleSoft. That would probably be why. Then I'm going to be the sponsor. And unfortunately, you still have to fill in all the information. It doesn't go ahead and pull it. I would love for it to, but... And yes, this is my email address if you guys need to contact me. Oops. See, and I didn't listen. No punctuation. Here are your affiliation types. So do we still have a guru? I'm going to go with that. And again, here are your start dates. So I just want to make sure that you guys remember, as we said, for the start dates, we don't actually approve it until the day they start because of the way the system goes and picks it up. So we may actually put the creation of the PID in, and so sometimes you guys will go back and look, and it still says pending, but there's actually now a PID up, well, once this gets, sorry, there's actually a PID up at the top. And that doesn't mean that they're done and it's been authorized. If they've been authorized, it will actually say authorized. And then you'll know it's complete. All right. So our end date, we're going to give them a year because while Dave said 6 months, I'm not sure that's long enough. And affiliate remarks, really please just tell us what the person needs, why they need this kind of access. And if they're a contractor, just say contractor with whatever company that they're working for. A phone number is required. It can be a business phone number. It can be a home phone number. And we're just going with business. We don't want it to be public. And affiliate work address, it is required as well. And you can just say what they're at, but we're in the Sky Hall. I'm in the United States, North Carolina. We tried to pre-populate those because it's mostly what you're going to be putting. All right, home address is not going to be, is always going to be private, but it is a requirement because of PID policy. PID policy is something new, and if you have a question about it, you're welcome to email me, and I'll forward you the link to it, but it's also on the university's website on policies. Okay, and then I will hit submit. Oh. And I can't because of department number. I'm sorry. So I would hit submit. It would come to the PID office. We would either tell you that it's been, if we say denied, that means we're not doing it at all. You need to look at, there's a PID already existing, or we've been told this affiliate isn't an affiliation. It needs to go some other route. For authorization, when it says authorized, we do everything for you. We didn't want you guys to have to go to EPAR and then come out of EPAR, come into our system, wait for us to give you a PID, and then go back to EPAR. So we just complete the whole process. So once you're done with affiliate requests, then you have a complete person. So if you've got your PID and it says authorized, you're done. Does that make sense? That EPAR will still be there if you need to update it later. And I think I'm done. Yes, ma'am. Hi.
In the past, I've been told that if we don't have a social security number, we need to provide the affiliate's own phone number. Is it still the case, or we can provide the business phone number?
You can provide a business phone number. Yeah. Just a phone number is required. We actually made that a little looser so that we know people, you're giving a home address already, and asking for a home phone number, people get even more edgy. So, yeah, that's a business phone number. And if you ever do get it, come back saying, no, you need a home phone number, give us a call, talk to me. I'm happy to straighten out any miscommunications that we have. Do you have any more questions? Yes, ma'am.
So if you create a new, you create a new one, and this side of it. Normally, you send it out, you would do it in Connect.
You would do it in Connect Carolina. They now have a PID.
Okay.
Yep. No problem. Any more questions? Oh, sorry.
After that, I will speak to the update.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Quick question. If you have a visiting scholar from another country, what's their home address in the foreign country, or where they reside here?
So most of the time for foreigners, we don't have their home address yet. So we prefer a home address. So if they're here, you can go ahead and give us this one. But if all that we've got is still where they live back there, give us that one. That is something for us to match on. A lot of the requirements for our PID creation were done so that we could still find a match on a person, because they may have applied and they didn't get in, or they decided not to come, and then now you're putting them in the system, and look, we have a match. Yes, ma'am?
Would we do the request from here, or would we do it in South Carolina?
If you submit a background check, they actually create the PID, and it gets a background check affiliation. So you would do it in the EPAR.
Is the PID created with the background check received, or when it's completed? Or is it received?
When it's received. Oh, I'm not repeating these questions. I apologize. Yes, ma'am.
I have one more question. It's talking about creating and initiating an affiliate, but monitoring the end date. In the box, the old system used to send us email notifications.
Yes.
Anything else the question for you? I apologize. You do have an answer?
Yes. Yeah, we're working on that.
So the request has been made, and the report is in the works for InfoForm. So there will be a report coming out that will give you a list of affiliates by department and ending.
I apologize, Dave.
No, can I borrow the mic real quick? I just wanted to speak.
Thank you. I just want to speak for a moment. I meant to mention how to update an affiliation that exists already. So the question came up, what form do I use to update something that's already there? You would use the affiliate EPAR form to do that. And the way it works is once you've done your search and you find your person, when you put in the sponsor department and the affiliate type, it goes out and looks to make sure that that doesn't exist already. If it does exist, when you see the rest of that screen appear the way it did at the bottom, it will be pre-populated with all of the information that exists for that specific affiliation. At that point, you can make any changes to update it that you need and then just submit it as an update, and it will go through the same process as a new affiliate form. So I'd forgotten to mention that. I apologize. But the update as well as the new are done on that same form. It goes out and checks. It does the search for you when you put in the sponsor department and the affiliate type. If it exists, the update starts. So my apologies.
Okay. One other piece that I needed to show you is when you're going back out into the affiliate system, we actually have a separate search request. And this is where you want to go to look and see if you've been approved, disapproved, if you're pending. And actually, if you look right here, it tells you all of the little codes you need to put in there. So if you have authorized, then you can see all the people who have been authorized, all the people for your area. If you have pending, that means we're still looking at it. If you have, let's see, recycled, that means you need to look at it and tell us what you want, or fix whatever issue there might be, and then change it back to pending before you save. Make sense? Everybody good with that part? All right. And I think we're going back here. Ooh, which one is it?
Go ahead and do that last one.
This one? Okay.
These are the slides if the demo fails. You can just slide them.
Oh, I didn't. Oh, yeah, I did that. That's okay. Just making sure. Oh. There are the departments. Okay. Things to remember. So we talked about the expiration dates. No, we haven't talked about the expiration dates. When someone expires, when an affiliate expires, it expires the onion. Even if you go in that same day and set them back up and extend their date, the onion's already been expired, so they have to talk to ITS for help to get it unexpired, even if they have an affiliation. I know, working on it, but as of right now, that's how it is. An affiliate is not processed until its start date. We've already talked about that, and we've talked about the InfoPort report coming soon, hopefully. Any more questions? And we are, just in case you liked those emails that we had previously, we are working on that, trying to get those back in again, so that you do receive an email before your person expires. Okay. Do you have questions? Oh, sorry. Yeah, that is something we're working on. Any more questions? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
When you say expire, it expires at midnight on that midnight, like 12 o'clock a.m., right?
Well, it's supposed to. But right now, we actually have to go in and we get a list every single day, and we manually expire every single affiliate. So,
The point being, don't wait for the last minute.
don't wait till the last minute, because my person who comes at 7:30 in the morning, this is the first thing she does. Yeah. All right. Any more questions? But that was a good. All right. I think we are. Oh, here's some contact information. Any questions or anything like that, you feel free to call and talk to any of us. We're all very versed in what we have to do every single day, in and out. So, all right. I'd like to introduce Mike for contingent worker.
All right, thank you.
Oh, I do have a nice pocket.
It's full already, though. Let's try and count it.
I don't know if that's what it is.
It's like that drawer. Everybody's got a drawer at home. It's a junk drawer. You just throw everything in. About what my pockets have become. So I just want to take a minute to talk about contingent workers, and specifically wanted to talk about the right direction here. At-will adjunct faculty. Many of you have at-will adjunct faculty. It cuts down a lot on your administrative processing. And since the move to PeopleSoft, this question came up from one of the schools. In our legacy systems, the status paid or unpaid was on the person, wasn't on the job. So if you were paid anywhere by the university, the rule was you could not have an at-will adjunct faculty appointment. So it's the move to PeopleSoft and the jobs are broken out. You can have a status by job. And so one of the schools said, you know, we've got faculty that we want to give at-will appointments to. They work at other departments here on campus, but we don't care about that. If they weren't working at UNC Chapel Hill, we'd still have this at-will adjunct faculty appointment. Why can't we give them one? And so we thought, well, that's probably a good question. And we went and reviewed it, and University Council said, you could do that. So first, let's review. Contingent worker is simply a job code that provides access to university resources for a person and or to provide a faculty rank required for accreditation purposes, but it does not establish a legal employee relationship with the organization. Primarily what this means is when payroll reports to the IRS for their withholdings, who we're supposed to be collecting payroll taxes on, contingent workers aren't included in that list, which is a good thing. A couple of types. We have the zero base rate faculty with no intent to pay, and postdocs external payroll. Any at-will non-salaried faculty appointment must be processed though using a faculty zero base rate CWR, which is abbreviation for contingent worker employee group. We'll go to that. Can a person have both a contingent worker and employee relationship with the university? Yes, you can, but you have to meet these two rules. The department sponsoring an at-will non-salaried appointment may not provide funding to the employee's paid jobs. So this goes back to the intent to pay, this time on your job level. You're not intending to pay this person either directly or through their paid jobs. And also, payments cannot be processed through an at-will faculty job. If you put them on as a contingent worker, it's not possible for you to process payment against that. If both these conditions are met, the at-will non-salaried appointment must be processed using contingent worker employee group. Connect Carolina, this is the primary reason here. Connect Carolina does not require an expected job end date be entered for contingent worker appointments. So if you're using the EPAR and you've selected zero base rate faculty CWR as your employee group, when you're filling out your information for the appointment, when you get to the expected job end date, it's not a required field. You can leave it blank. It's really important. We'll go to that in a minute. It's not possible to process payment against a contingent worker appointment. So a year later, if you've given someone a contingent worker appointment and they do something and you want to process a lump sum payment against that job, PeopleSoft won't let you pay a lump sum payment against a contingent worker job. And just a reminder, if you do give someone that will non-salaried faculty appointment, we use the same job codes that we use for other fixed-term faculty. And in PeopleSoft, they all have default values for regular and temp. A lot of them are set to regular. So just check if once you give them their faculty rank, if it defaults to regular, please change it to temp. Grand scheme of things, contingent workers aren't employees. It'd be nice if we didn't have to select either, but between the two, temporary is the better choice. Now we can have, this looks a little funny, because now if you see a report, if you look at a multiple job summary, you may see an employee who has two employee relationships and a contingent worker relationship, and that's fine. There will be regular employees on two of their jobs and a temporary employee on their third contingent worker job, and that's okay. PeopleSoft's designed to do that, and we can make use of that now. However, if someone has a contingent worker job, and another department hires them and wants to pay them, the paid job must become the primary job. And this is the same rule we had in the legacy system as well. If you have an unpaid job and a paid job has to be listed as primary. All of our institutional reporting is done against the primary jobs, right? And the third bullet, second bullet here is the main point we want to make. Do not process at-will non-salaried appointments using a faculty or intermittent faculty employee group with a fake expected job end date. It's really embarrassing to sit down with auditors and explain why somebody has an expected job end date of 2025 or 9999. The expected job end date field is the field we use in PeopleSoft to designate term appointments for our paid employees. And it's not a good practice to have that field mean something in some conditions and not mean something in other conditions. We want to maintain the integrity of the expected job end date field. So in order to do that, we should only put actual term end dates in the expected job end date field, which match the appointment letters that we process for folks. If you need to give someone an at-will non-salaried faculty appointment, you need to do it as a contingent worker where that field's not required. It is blank, we understand, and as a contingent worker, we understand that they're at-will. So,
In EPA Web, if somebody had a primary appointment with another department that had a similar end date, it wouldn't let us, or at least in my experience, it wouldn't let me add an at-will as a faculty non-salaried appointment to our department. We had to something.
Right. And that's where this came up because, I'm sorry, yeah. Question was, in the legacy system, it would not let you leave the scheduled end date blank. You had to put some date in there. And I believe for some areas there was actually a date indicated, which was like 9999 or 2525. At the time, because of the limitation on the system, you had to do that. now that we've got a system that we can provide to have a relationship that doesn't require that expected job end date, then we just point you in this direction, and so you need to set it up under a contingent worker relationship. Now, some of those got converted. This is where this all came up, because we saw reports of people with all these willy-nilly crazy expected job end dates. We're like, what are these things? As you can go in and move them into contingent worker associations and get that bad date out of there. We'd appreciate that. Any other questions? It's kind of just a data cleanup thing. All right. I think Chris is going to come up next and talk about performance management.
Thanks, sir. Good morning, everybody. Okay. How many of you traditionally have been the person who had to put in all the ratings for all the SPA employees? About half of you. We're trying really hard so you don't have to do that anymore, but we need your help to do that. And hopefully you'll help us. I want to draw your attention to a page on our website because it's kind of your best resource for all stuff employee relations and performance management. If you go to the HR website, go to the Employee Management Relations tab, and then drop down on the right side of the Resources tab, and you'll see the forms and policies there too. You'll see something called a Performance Management Toolkit. You click on that, and this is where we're kind of storing all of our PM-related information. The links to the forms are up there. If you need to download the forms again for whatever reason. A memo just went out to HR officers yesterday. Did it go to the DDD last night, Kathy? Okay, so went to the DDD list as well as the HR officers. So that's included here. Both of those memos are here. The memo of the HR officers has a lot of content in it, including the timeline, how to access Infoport, guidance in determining ratings, particularly in converting that 3-point scale for the individual ratings to the 5-point scale. So that's included there, and some additional tips on using the Infoport filter that we'll talk about in a minute. It also has the reference sheet that we'll walk through in a second on how to enter the ratings. And if for those folks who are the person who puts in everybody else's but can't put in their own because you can't enter your own rating, there's no one up your chain that can do that for you, then it can come to our office and there's a form you fill out, your supervisor signs, and we'll enter the rating for you. That should be fewer people than we normally have because we hopefully will have less people that have to be in that position. But someone up the school division chain should be able to do it. And then if you do not have the access, the access to Infoport for supervisors should be automatic if you're a supervisor. If you're an HR person, it may not be automatic, but you need to complete the Infoport access form and send that to your Infoport administrator in the HR section. There's a box for evaluation, and that would trigger that to get the access for the HR folks. So what we're trying to do, big picture, is we're trying to move the whole performance management process into Infoport. And for this year, we kind of stutter-stepped it. We wanted to be sure people are using it. We know lots of people aren't using it currently, and so we wanted to slowly ease supervisors into using it. So we've set it up to only enter the overall performance rating and the overall ECA for the cycle. And so we are trying to get the supervisors to do that instead of the HR person. If the HR person has the performance management access, they will be able to do that. But we want the supervisors to do it for 3 reasons, really. One, it's quick, and it only takes click, 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 and they're done, hopefully, so it should be fairly easy for them to do. 2, we want to make sure they can get in and see their employees in their employee list. So if there's any problems with that, we can clean that up. Because 3rd, come later this summer, we want them to use the whole system for everything in performance management. There won't be a paper process anymore. They'll be doing everything, developing the work plans, everything else in Infoport, routing them to the employees, etc. So we want to get them kind of indoctrinated into it before we have to bring the employees into the group later this summer. That make sense? So first page, it's a very short reference guide. First page is kind of orients them to get them into Infoport. If they have not used Infoport before, they probably won't see those tabs come up the first day they log into Infoport, but after that, the following day, those tabs should show up for them. And there'll be a tab for the evaluation history and a tab for the performance management program. So if you go to the HR list, and they'll get their employee list. They can filter through the employee list. And then when they pull someone up, pull up an employee, you'll see the Evaluation History tab and the Performance Management tab. And this is literally all it is. There's a type here for what type of review and what cycle it's in. Those will get expanded as we get new cycles in. Right now it's going to default just to 2015 for this year's cycle because that's all that's in there right now. And then the overall performance rating for the employee. If for some reason they are not going to get a rating, and there's only 4 valid reasons for that, they can click the override button, and that way they won't have to put a rating in. The 4 valid reasons are that the employee's on extended paid leave, so you couldn't do the review. The employee's on extended leave without pay, or on workers' comp or disability, so they could not do a review. The employee's been working for us, for the state, for less than 3 months, and so they haven't been here long enough to do a review, or they left the employment before we got a chance to finish the process. And hopefully there shouldn't be too many of those showing up now. In the old system, we put everybody in on a certain date, and then lots of people left after that, and so we use that quite a bit. Hopefully it won't be quite as necessary now. If you click the override button, it'll override both the having to put the performance rating and the ECA. It'll just block out both. And then the competency rating, get the overall rating, and then you click the complete button, and that writes it to the evaluation history. If they pull up the evaluation history, there'll be a listing there for the document, and you can pull it up from there. In addition to the filters on the employee list, there's 2 new filters, one called PM Review and one called PM Status. The PM Review can filter to the type of document you're looking for. Right now, it's just the 2015 annual review. When we get into the next cycle, there'll be annual review, there'll be work plan, revised work plan, mid-cycle review, annual review, ECA only. So all those options are available. The status right now is either completed or not. So when they put the two entry ratings in for this cycle, once they're done with that, it'll show up as completed. That's good because when you click on those 2 filters, you click each of those, it'll add 2 columns to the employee list, one for the review and one for the status. So if you do that, then you can sort or sort it by the completion status, and all the ones that are completed will show up, and the rest of them will be at the bottom. You can export that to Excel and use that to track down the folks who haven't gotten the ratings in yet. Also say we're still developing a ratings report. Hopefully that will be released sometime earlier, mid-June, and that will have the actual report you can generate that will have the ratings for the employees as well. That's not available quite yet, but we should have that by mid-June, hopefully. All right. One thing I'll note, depending on your screen resolution, and this is in the HR officer memo as well, depending on your screen resolution, the width of the screen may not be wide enough, and the PM status and those things may roll over and kind of overlap. So if you just do a Control-, that will shrink the font size on your screen, and that should bring it all in, and then you can do a Control+ to increase it later if you need to. But that should make it a little easier to use the filtering process. Any questions on that part of it? Yep.
So I saw the section where you said they haven't been here for 3 months yet.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens when they reach those quarterly deadlines that we have to do? Do we go in to the supervisors? Go in at that time?
No, if for this particular annual review, if they weren't here long enough, they weren't here long enough. You would normally do a regular quarterly review whenever you do a quarterly review, but it wouldn't count as an annual review for the employee. Teresa?
Can you address employees that transfer in cycle and how that will be managed?
Yeah, and again, right now,
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. So the first question was about if a three-month person or a probationary employee hadn't had enough time in yet, do we do the annual review once they hit the 3 months? And the answer is no. If they don't have it by the end of June, then they would just be insufficient time for this cycle, and then they would have one next year. And the second question? Transfer employees. And there's some guidance in the memo about, guidance about who should do the transfer documentation. Again, we're still doing a paper process for everybody this year. There'll still be signatures on paper and everything else. This should be hopefully the last cycle for that. Normally, the supervisor who is actively the supervisor of the employee now is responsible for getting it done. Now, whether or not they get additional information from the previous supervisor, that's what we would want to do. If most of the cycle's been done under the previous supervisor, then they could negotiate that the previous supervisor will just do the review for this year. It'll be kind of a shorter cycle, and they would just enter the rating, and probably the HR person would enter the rating at that point. Jordan.
Two questions, Chris. One, are there plans to, at some point, put historical ratings or make the historical ratings available here?
Oh, good question. The question about whether the historical ratings from the old legacy systems, whether they're going to be accessible through this, I'll have to check on that. I mean, I think that would be ideal, but I'll check on that and try to get that back to you guys as soon as I can.
Second question, you may get to this later. For the work plan and the new processes there, is there going to be a way for upper managers to not just create work plans for their direct reports, but to push out work plans for their direct reports as well? And basically, here is what I want you to use for your staff.
So the question is, for the setting goals process for the next cycle, is there a way to push it through the system, some cascading goals kind of way? It's not going to be set up that way, at least currently. That could be an enhancement we do along the way, largely because how it's framed for you at one level of management as a goal may not be exactly the same as how you're going to frame it to the next employee down the line. So they can riff off of it, but they wouldn't necessarily just duplicate it all the way down. In some cases, you might be duplicating it all the way down, but not necessarily. We are encouraging supervisor groups or management teams to be thinking through what the goals might be for next year so they can start having some consistency. One of the expectations from the state is that there would be some kind of consistency in kind of a shared strategic vision for the organization about what those goals are going to feed into. So we do encourage you to start having the managers start having those conversations before we get into that cycle. Yeah. Yes, the deadline for getting everything in the system is still June 30th. The deadline's June 30th. We have to feed the data to GA as part of the data mart feed to feed to the state, and the state expects them by June 30. So, Bengal folks, quickly, begin. Yep. Oh, okay.
Can you talk a little about the conversion from 3 points from 5 to 3?
Sure. Let me flip back. We gave some kind of basic reference points. The trick in doing it is that depending on the employee, depending on how many goals the employee has, and depending on whether they're a supervisor, they could have anywhere from 9 things that's being rated to 12 things being rated. So just giving an arbitrary kind of percentage and things didn't really seem to work. And there's a little bit of a skew in terms of what starts to roll over as unsatisfactory work for someone if they have some kind of deficiency that's been documented. So a couple rules that factor into that. If someone has a disciplinary action this cycle, then something on the review has to be at a not meeting expectations, whatever it is that's relevant to that particular disciplinary action. And we can work with you to decide which one that is. We don't want it to be like willy-nilly everything that affects. We want to try to find the one area that seems to be the cause of the problem and reflect it in that one. And if someone has a not meeting expectation rating anywhere on that, whether it's related to discipline or not, they cannot get an outstanding, which kind of makes sense that if they have a deficiency, why would you give them an outstanding? So that's kind of an overarching rule. The ratings rules otherwise, we just kind of gave some language to kind of indicate what seems to be sensible in terms of what might be an outstanding. And we considered that if they have no more than 3 meets expectations and the rest are exceeds expectations, we would call that outstanding. If very good, we'll have some combination that meets and exceeds, maybe as much as one not meeting expectations, but that'd have to be kind of an exception, and probably something that's not substantially significant to the overall work product of the employee. Below good might have up to 3 ratings of not meeting expectations, and then anything above 3 is going to be unsatisfactory. There's some flexibility depending on kind of the magnitude of those aspects of the work in terms of what the job is. The state's expectation going forward is that everything is equally weighted. So it's a little messier. But going forward, starting next year, we'll just have a 3-point scale anyway, so it'll be a little easier to do the conversion.
So this year, our supervisors are expected to go in here, and they're looking at one document that has 3 points, and then InfoPort's going to have 5. Is there like a handy-dandy spot where they can figure the explanation of this for that immediate entry?
Not on the screen. They have a reference sheet. The supervisors kind of, if they're really on the actual paper document for the review, there's a 5-point there, so they have to put somewhere on the actual paper document what the 5-point rating is going to be. So really the translation to InfoPort is really whatever they have on their paper. So if you want to give them the guidance on this kind of guidance, you can certainly send that to them to make sure that they have it handy. Other questions? All right. Just quick, some other things we have on the page just for reference. We have 3-column versions of the organizational values, both for EPA and SPA. We do have some sample documents that could be used for EPA non-faculty employees. There's no required format for EPA non-faculty employees for this particular cycle, but we do have some samples that complement the SPA model. So we've set up some 3-column charts to show essentially kind of, for each organizational value, what the meets expectation level, which is in the work plan document, and then some language that might show what exceeding expectations looks like and what not meeting expectations look like. So if folks want something to anchor against, to look at, to see whether they think they should rate somebody, this is a tool that hopefully will be useful to them for that. And then we also have 4 different sample document sets for 4 different types of positions on campus. We have a position description, a work plan, and then at least 1 performance review in ECA, if not both. Okay. Any questions? All right, thanks.
Okay, so we are done, but I did want to just take a quick moment to introduce Rhonda Leary. So where's Rhonda? Rhonda, she is our new HR team lead for the HR help desk. So we talked earlier about if you have questions about affiliates, you want to call the FID office, but you will be talking to Rhonda, I am sure, on a weekly basis at least, right? And I know you guys know Teresa Silsey, right? So no, she needs no introduction. Okay, so thanks everybody for coming out. I appreciate it, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you. Try to sign in on your way out.